Today we're making Portuguese chicken wraps. They're easy to make, they're full of flavour and perfect for meal prep. This is everything we're going to need for today's recipe, plus additional salt, pepper and oil, as well as a wrap of choice. Now we'll start off with our infused oil. For that we are going to need 1 clove of garlic and 5 grams or 0.2 ounces of peeled ginger. We are also going to need 3 cloves of garlic for our chicken, so we can do that at the same time. And with the garlic and the ginger, or the 1 clove of garlic and that ginger, these can be mixed together. In a bowl, add half a cup or 125 grams of Sambal Oelek, which is just a chili paste, and it's not really that spicy. And with every other ingredient that we're going to add to this, it just mellows it out even more. Add in half a cup of any neutral flavored oil. It's just going to mix it around and make it so we get that really nice infused oil. Add in the garlic and ginger, which we just grated. 1 teaspoon or 10 grams of Dijon mustard. This just mellows it out a little bit more and helps stabilize it also. We then need about 1 teaspoon of lemon zest, so we can go through and remove that. This just adds a beautiful infusion. And with the lemon zest, it doesn't have to be an exact measurement. Just use as much as you like. We'll also need the lemon juice, so we can cut off a piece of that lemon, and we want about 2 tablespoons or 40 milliliters, and just make sure that no seeds decide to jump in. Again, the amounts are up to you. Remember, you can always add, but you can't take out. And this just adds a really nice freshness, a nice acidity to it. It balances out the heat, and it just goes really nicely with this together. The flavor is incredible. Once that's all in there, give this a nice whisk. Make sure everything is combined. The garlic and the ginger is broken up, as well as that lemon zest. And we can give this a taste, just adjust it with any salt and pepper if you need to. Add a little bit more lemon juice for that acidity. Just go to your taste. This is a super simple recipe. It will last about 3 to 4 weeks in the fridge. This does also make more than we need for this exact recipe, but it's perfect for all sorts of different things. Use it as a dipping sauce, a marinade, whatever you're really into. If you have a bottle or jar, I do recommend storing it in there, as this is going to be stored in the fridge for a while. And make sure to scrape it all in there, because we don't want to waste any of their good stuff. Once you have it bottled or jarred up, we can place on the lid, and like I said, this will last in the fridge for about 3 to 4 weeks. And this is one of those recipes that gets better in flavor over time, and it's going to settle down. The oil is going to rise to the top, and all of that flavor is going to come to the bottom. When you go to use it, just make sure you give it a mix around. Now for a quick sauce that's going to be used in the wraps, as well as the chili oil, add 150 grams or 5.2 ounces of high protein yogurt to a bowl. 2 tablespoons or 40 grams of mayonnaise. You can use light mayo to cut the calories a little bit. Give the chili oil a quick stir just to make sure everything is combined, and then we can add in 2 tablespoons of this. Which adds a really nice infusion to the mayonnaise and that yogurt. And with those 3 in, just give this a quick whisk just to make sure everything is evenly combined. And this can be stored in the fridge until we're ready to serve. And this is a beautiful quick sauce. Now for the fillings, I'm only using lettuce. It bulks it out. It goes really well with the chicken. It's just nice and fresh, but of course you can use whatever you like. If you are using lettuce, all we need to do is just like thinly slice this up. It is also a layered vegetable, so just make sure you give it a wash, because there can be some trapped dirt in between the layers. And just make sure you go through and separate any layers, because there can be some chunks that stick together. Now, last but not least is the chicken. We're going to need 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds of chicken tenderloins. You can use chicken breast and thinly slice it if you prefer to. It is a lot cheaper than buying these separately. However, with the tenderloins, there is a tendon that runs through them. It's not very nice to eat, and we do want to remove it. So a quick way is to grab a fork, put those prongs of the fork through that tendon, straight through the middle. Grab yourself some kitchen roll or something grippy. Make sure you grip tight onto that tenderloin. And then all we need to do is push down with the fork and pull up with that kitchen roll, and you should pull out that tenderloin in one clean piece, like so. So we'll go through and repeat that with all of these. I know it does take a little bit of time, but it is worth it in the end. Add the chicken into a bowl and add in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Add in the 3 cloves of garlic that we minced up or grated at the beginning. Add in the juice of half of a lemon. Make sure you squeeze that all in there to get ideal flavor. And a little bit of pulp's not going to hurt anyone. Add in 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of sweet paprika, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, half a teaspoon of dried chili flakes, which is completely optional, and season with a little bit of salt and a little bit of cracked black pepper. 10 cracks worth. All we need to do is mix this around and just make sure everything is evenly combined. That garlic might have clumped up, so just make sure you break that down and just be gentle with it as well. We don't want to tear up any of those tenderloins. This can be made ahead of time. You can do this about 2 days ahead of time if you need to, but for me personally, I'm just going to use it straight away. Now for the chicken, place a large pan over a high heat and get this nice and hot. Add in just a touch of oil. And doing this in batches, we're just going to sear that chicken. With these, all we want to do is cook them for about 2 minutes on each side and just get that nice crust all over. So this has now been 2 minutes. We can flip over the chicken. We have a nice little color on there. And we'll just repeat that same process with the 2 minutes on the opposite side. As I always say, if you find your pan getting too hot and the chicken's darkening too quickly, or the pan starting to burn on the bottom, just slightly turn it down. And if that does happen, you can add a splash of water or stock, and that's going to help deglaze and rip up all of that flavour. So these have now been cooking for about 2 minutes on each side. They're beautifully cooked, nice and soft and juicy in the centre. We'll just remove these and allow them to rest. And then we'll go through with the remaining batch and just keep repeating until all of that chicken is cooked. I'm also only doing this in batches because I don't want to overcrowd the pan, knock too much heat out of it, and then the chicken starts to steam and you don't get any of that nice golden crust. Now once all the chicken's cooked, I like to add a little bit of lemon juice over the top just to add that final little bit of freshness. Of course, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it really does add a nice flavour. I'm also going to finish it off with a little bit of sea salt flakes, which again is completely optional. For serving this up, we're going to need 5 wraps or tortillas of your choice, and I'm going to spread over 1/5 of that dressing that we made at the beginning. Add on your lettuce or whichever filling you've chosen to use. Depending on size, about 3 or 4 tenderloins per wrap. And over the top, just finish it off with a little bit extra of that chili oil. What we need to do now is fold in the sides, just make sure everything's tucked in, go straight over the top, roll it under. Again, just make sure the sides are tucked in. This does take a little bit of practice, by the way, and then continue rolling over until everything is nice and tight, like so. That then leaves us with 5 of our wraps, and you can choose to have them fresh or toasted. Now, as far as storage and reheating goes, you can have them hot and cold. You can store them in the fridge, you can put them in the freezer. They'll go in the fridge for up to 3 days and in the freezer for up to 4 months. You can store them in food safe paper, Ziploc bags, or even meal prep containers. Do recommend eating them fresh if you can, but worst case scenario, you can put them in the fridge, put them in the freezer, and then bring them out and reheat them. And you can do so in a microwave, in a pan, or even in an air fryer, and just toast up the outer shell. What we can then do is slice one of these in half, revealing that beautiful chicken center. So that then leaves us with 5 Portuguese chicken wraps. They look and smell incredible. They're super easy to make, and this is the macros for an individual wrap, and the full written recipe and remaining nutrition facts is in the link in the description. With everything said and done, there's one thing left to do, and that is we can then dig in. From something so simple, that's honestly unreal.